Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video, which will take us to around the 18th of May. So we're going into the second half of the month with week to 10 day video updates. Now we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, which run to around a couple of weeks. That's going to get us close to the next bank holiday weekend, but is soon going to be within the time frame of the GFS extended range yet again. And at the end of the video, have a look at CFSV2 for next month as well. Just to say that 5-day forecast has been released. That video is on the 5-day forecast page at gazobis.com. And we're looking at an unsettled start, certainly with showers along as well as the rain, but high pressure coming back as we get towards the end of the 5-day forecast period. We'll pick up the storyline beyond that with today's second video update, which I'm going to get on for you right now. So we're going to begin by having a look at the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart. So the black line here shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation, red lines at the end where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. It's just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It's not driving anything, it just tells you what the atmosphere is doing. So when the Arctic oscillation is positive, you'll have low pressure up over the pole, and consequently you'll tend to strengthen the westerlies in the mid-latitudes. When the Arctic oscillation is negative, you'll have high pressure, have blocking up over the North Pole. And where we are right now is that we are in a negative period with the Arctic oscillation, so we have got high pressure obviously within the northern latitudes, and the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the AO will stay in negative territory as we go through the next couple of weeks anyway, which takes us into the second half of May. So it looks like we're entering into another extended period of negativity of the AO. The last time we went through an extended period of negativity of the Arctic oscillation was back in the winter. So it does look as though high pressure is going to continue to be dominating within the northern latitudes over the next couple of weeks at least. At the same time, the northern Atlantic oscillation has also shifted into its negative phase. So the black line here, again, showing where we've been with the NAO, the red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to go. That's where we are right now, very negative with the North Atlantic oscillation. Last time it was this negative was probably back into last autumn. Had a very long run of positivity of the NAO throughout the whole of the winter, but we got through to May and the Arctic oscillation has shifted. It started to shift really back in April, around the middle of April, and it's been trending downwards ever since then. So where we are right now is in a very negative territory with the NAO, and the GFS ensembles, although they are lifting it up a little bit compared to the very negative phase that we're in at the moment, they are lifting it up slightly. It looks like we stay on the negative side really going through the next couple of weeks, taking us into the second half of May. So both of the indexes are negative. So if I say if this had happened in the winter, this would have been a cold signal for the winter, but of course we're into May now, so what we're probably looking at is well, you can get two sort of weather developments with these indexes both being negative. So the one thing you could get is cool, wet conditions at this time of year, unsettled, wet, but also cool. The other possibility is that you will just have high pressure sitting kind of like around Scandinavia, somewhere like that, bringing in easterly type winds. That's always a possibility or even a probability in May, because May is just about our most easterly month. But anyway, we've got both of the indexes negative, and we shall see as we go through the video what the impacts of this could be. Right, centering temperature has updated. So I did a video yesterday saying that the CT hadn't updated, but actually shortly after that, very, very late yesterday afternoon, they finally updated it at Hadley. So everything's back on track now. So this is where April came out for the central England temperature for April 2019. It comes out at 9.1, which was an anomaly of 1.2 degrees above the 61 to 1990 average. So it's interesting that we've been shaving off around a degree off the anomaly since February, actually. So February came out at 6.7 with an anomaly of 3 degrees above average. March came out at 7.8, which was an anomaly of 2 degrees above average. So there's a 1 degree temperature drop from February to March. And then for April, we come out at 9.1, which is 1.2 degrees above average. Again, just about shaving a degree off the anomaly from March. So it looks like the peak of the temperature was in February. And certainly for March and April, we've been shaving off around a degree from the preceding month, if you see what I mean. So if that was to continue for May, we would probably come out very close to average for May, set against 61 to 1990, but possibly a little bit cooler than average for May, set against 81 to 2010 averages. Remember, on this page, the CET is being set against 61 to 1990. I haven't changed that over yet to 81 to 2010. So the anomalies are being set against 61 to 1990, which is a very cold temperature average, because the 1960s in particular were a really, really cold decade with lots of cold winters, including that severe winter of 62, 63, coldest winter since 1740, and a lot of the summers in the 1960s were very chilly as well, very poor, wet summers generally typified the 1960s. So this is a cold temperature average. So set against a more modern average, if we carry on with this shaving a degree off scenario of the anomaly every month, then we would maybe come out slightly cooler than average for May. As it is, May is standing at 8.8, an anomaly of 1.1 degrees below average at the moment. That's provisional to the 7th, provisional to yesterday. So we are colder than average with a 61 to 1990 temperature average at the moment, let alone 81 to 2010. But this is probably going to get a boost next week as high pressure builds in, and we're probably going to revert to a warmer, drier scenario, at least for a while, as we run up towards the middle part of the month. But anyway, the update has arrived at Hadley. We've been waiting for it since the start of May. Been waiting to see how April fared, and that's it. So it came out 9.1, an anomaly of 1.2 degrees above average. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for London. So red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting our close to average today. Going to be going a bit cool over the next few days. So we're going to turn wind back into the north at the end of the week and into weekend. It will be chilly for a while. But then high pressure builds in, and we see through next week in particular the temperatures are lifting back up. So it starts to become a lot milder through the course of next week, with temperatures picking up once again. Along with that, it's going to be a drying trend. So plenty of precipitation coming up over the next couple of days. Quite a rainfall to come, mainly in the form of heavy showers after today's sort of persistent rain clears through. But those showers could actually merge into longer spells of rain through Thursday and into Friday. But beyond that, again, over weekend into next week, clearly a drying trend. So the middle part of May is actually looking really dry indeed. And it looks like these dry conditions carry on into the second half of the month, although late on it does turn a little bit more unsettled. But then that again, it's in the unreliable time frame of the model. So you'll always have ensemble members that are turning things, that are changing the pattern, if you like, in the sort of days 10 to 14 time frame. You'll always get some ensemble members that are doing something different. So that's unreliable. I think the overall trend, certainly into the second half of May, is drier and warmer. That's going to be the thing to focus on at the moment. Temperature anomalies from the 8th to the 16th of May, below average for the UK, for Ireland, and for most parts of Europe as well. Another pretty cold week coming up from the 8th through to the 16th of May, with below average temperature anomalies for most places, except for Spain and Portugal. Looks warmer than average just there. Precipitation anomalies, a little bit above average for England and Wales, a little bit drier than average for Scotland and Northern Ireland. I'd expect these to trend drier over the next few days, and the temperature anomaly chart should be trending warmer, I would have thought. that's how the GFS looks for Saturday. This is all covered by a 5-day forecast, of course. Got high pressure out to our west on Saturday, low pressure to the east. So we're pulling down quite a chilly and still fairly showery northerly wind. But by Sunday, high pressure is beginning to take over, and then that high pressure builds in strongly as we get through to Monday. Loads of dry weather and increasingly warm through the early part of next week. So we've got a 1,035 millibar area of high pressure over top of the country on Tuesday next week, Tuesday 14th of May. That will be delivering loads of sunshine, and temperatures I would have thought are likely to be into the low 20s there, possibly reaching 20 or 21 degrees. 21 is the magical 70 Fahrenheit. Into Wednesday, the high pressure carries on moving a little bit further north, stays in control of where, in fact, most of next week looks like it's dominated by high pressure. Only as we get towards day 10 do we see a weakening of this high pressure. Low pressure then starts to head towards us from off the Atlantic. Even at day 10, Saturday 18th of May, it's probably still mostly dry at that point. But just beyond that, this operational GFS run does turn things more unsettled then. Low pressure starts to head back in off the Atlantic, bringing a return to unsettled and cooler conditions with showers along with spells of rain. And that's how we finish up with this particular GFS run, with high pressure centering itself around Iceland and Greenland, low pressure in the North Sea, bringing down a rather cool and showery north or northeasterly wind. So this particular GFS run only has a relatively short, drier and warmer period for next week, and then it's breaking that down and turning things unsettled by around day 10. Let's see what the GFS parallel run has to say. So again, we've got those northerly winds with showers coming through on Saturday, but by Sunday the high pressure's ridging over top of the country, and then that high pressure becoming increasingly powerful as we go through next week, taking over the weather, turning it drier and warmer. Into the second half of next week, the parallel GFS run just sees a bit of a breakdown taking place, so it's even shorter actually with that high pressure on the parallel run compared to the operational run. Even as early as Thursday or Friday next week, it's beginning to turn showery out to the west and possibly to the south too. High pressure, you'll notice, is moving up towards Scandinavia. So by day 10, we're actually under low pressure on the 18th of May with the GFS parallel run, looking quite unsettled, showers along spells of rain. So that really is quite a short interlude of high pressure actually from the GFS parallel run. Today it's only high pressure really from Monday or Sunday, Monday through to like Wednesday, Thursday next week. So quite a short high pressure interlude with the GFS parallel run. In the more extended range, look at this northern blocking that the parallel is getting going as we head into the second half of May. Very extensive northern blocking, which, as I say, can either deliver cool and wet conditions, or possibly if the high pressure is strong enough and the low pressure is pushed out into the middle of the Atlantic, it will just bring in easterly winds, and that's exactly what's going on there. The easterly wind is probably relatively cool though. I think the source of the easterly would be more north of these, so it's not a particularly warm easterly that we have there. Just relatively dry, but I suppose quite cool, particularly at night. That's how we finish up the GFS parallel run on Friday 24th of May, just knocking on the door of the late spring bank holiday weekend, still with that signal for very extensive northern blocking to our north. ECMWF, again, we've got those northerly winds on Saturday, then they get cut off on Sunday as the high pressure bridges in. That high pressure takes over really strongly through the early part of next week. It's up to 1,040 millibars by Tuesday, so that's a very intense area of high pressure. That will bring a lot of dry, fine, sunny conditions through the early part of next week. Unlike what the GFS is showing, there's not really a great deal of weakening with this high pressure, though it does edge northwards and westwards, so we start to pull in these cooler northeasterly winds by the end of next week. But up to day 10, which is Saturday the 18th of May, the ECM still has us under a ridge of high pressure. At this point, both the GFS and parallel GFS runs, or the GFS operational and GFS parallel, are breaking the high pressure down and turning things more unsettled today by day 10. But the ECM still has that high pressure in control, albeit we are bringing in some cooler winds from a northeasterly direction. These are the options that we've got on the table with the ECM ensembles today. at day 10. From the Icelandic Met Office. This is the 18th of May, of course, day 10. So we have got 22 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure over or just slightly to the west of us, bringing those sort of northeasterly winds. That includes the operational ECM run. That's a run that we was just looking at. Then we've got 18 that have the high pressure more centred over top of the UK. That includes the ECM control run. Both these scenarios, the 22 here and the 18 here, are generally quite dry and settled. And then there's a minority option, 11, that have the high pressure up towards Greenland. They have low pressure closer to us over Scandinavia. So they're more showery and they're probably quite cool as well with those 11 at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is taking us to the 23rd of May. It's 360 hours away, 2 weeks away. And we've got 22 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure out to our west, low pressure or a shallow trough is to our east, mainly dry, blocking off the Atlantic, but quite cool. Winds are in from the north with those. There's 16 that have high pressure pretty much centred over top of the country, so those are mainly dry and probably quite warm as well. They'd be shoving the jet stream off up there to our north. And then there's 13 that have high pressure over Greenland, but also to our south. Low pressure's just there, so they're a bit of a mess, but they're probably bringing relatively mild westerly winds and maybe a little bit showery to northern and western parts of the country. No sign of anything particularly unsettled within the ECM ensembles, either at day 10 or in 2 weeks' time, which is interesting because the GFS model output, particularly the GFS operational run, did look quite unsettled from day 10 through to the extended range. So certainly that unsettled extended GFS run is not particularly well supported by the ECM or its ensembles. But of course they are two different models, so we should wait and see where that's going into the second half of May. Finally, this how the CFS-V2 is looking. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly pairs. The first weekly pair takes us from the 8th to the 14th of May. The coming week will have above average heights to our southwest, below average heights to the west and the north, looking therefore quite cool and unsettled. There's quite a strong blocking signal up towards Greenland as well, so quite cool and quite unsettled with that 8th to 14th of May week 1 period. Week 2 is the 15th to the 21st of May with above average heights up to our northeast, below average heights to west southwest. They're bringing in quite warmish, I would have thought, southeasterly type winds, maybe still a bit showery though to the south and the west of the country. Not properly settling down, but certainly turning quite a bit warmer. Then week 3 is the 22nd, 28th of May, with above average heights and across central parts of Europe, below average heights out to west of Ireland. So yeah, it could be a little bit unsettled, could be a little bit showery, but that is genuinely warm. That'll be bringing up real warmth from the south, maybe even our first sort of quite hot spell of the summer there. 22nd, 28th of May. That's a kind of pattern that it might be unstable. It might produce quite a lot of heavy showers, maybe even thunderstorms. But it's also a pattern that's going to deliver quite high temperatures as well. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 29th of May to the 4th of June. And the high pressure event is receding more towards central and eastern parts of Europe. This low pressure in the Atlantic, it looks like it's getting stronger. So probably still relatively warm, probably still bringing wind up from a southwesterly to southerly direction. But definitely I would have thought turning more unsettled there. Low pressure would be bringing rain from off the Atlantic, possibly hinting at a cooler and more unsettled start to June. There is a hint of a little bit of northern blocking as well, close towards Greenland. So maybe very end of May, beginning of June, something cooler and more unsettled being implied. But that's week 4, so it's a really, really long way off. So certainly we're looking at a warmer and drier interlude next week. How long that's going to go on for, though, is a little bit of uncertainty, as you'll have gleaned from the model output. GFS wants that to be relatively short-lived today, at least his GFS operational parallel runs, before things turn unsettled. Whereas the ECM implies that it's a much more prolonged spell of high pressure and possibly lasting even beyond sort of day 10. So we shall see, but certainly for a few days next week anyway, it is going to be turning drier, finer, sunnier, and also warmer too, after the showers or longer spells of rain of this week. Right, that's it for your videos for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another week to 10-day video update, so come back for that then, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.